Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. We are here with another Celeste stream. But you know what? Instead of jumping right back into things, I find the beginning of streams to be pretty stressful. You know, just logging on, talking to myself for a little bit, what if I look like an idiot? Instead, I'm gonna take a second, not really to chat, but not to jump in the game for a second. I find that I get very stressed out watching this little viewer count. So you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Click. Bam! I can no longer see the viewer count, and now I don't have to worry about it. As far as I'm concerned, nobody's watching, 10 people are watching, doesn't matter to me if you don't say something in chat, you're not watching. So, now that we got that out of the way, let's get the game going. Since we've talked last, I have gotten some really cool thumbnails for the YouTube videos and stuff that I made, and I am pretty happy with them. If you're watching this now, you've probably already seen them, but I really like them. Working with GIMP, what is it, Graphic Image Manipulation Program, is that what it stands for? Free online photo editing software. I really enjoy using it, been using it for about a year now, still getting used to it. Anyway, here we are with Celeste. So let's not waste any more time. Today, I'm thinking we can do another B-side. And I know what you're thinking to yourself. Last time we did a B-side, I got destroyed. But I'm not going to let that happen today. So it looks like the next B-side we have is for the Celestial Resort. Which is this one. I was so great at this level to begin with. Let's see if I can... see if I can do it any better. Again, I'm going to be a little rusty to get started with. It's been a few days since I played. But I am using... first death of the day. Oh, does it have to be the first death of the day? Yes, it has to be the first. Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh, I saved it. I'm going to be a little rusty. Expect some pretty awkward early deaths here. Like that one. Probably not the best idea to immediately fling myself onto a B-side, considering my previous skill level, as you are well aware at this point. I'm so used to, like, glancing over to the viewer count, I don't know what I'm supposed to do anymore. Gonna act like I thought that that was... oh, that one just doesn't feel fair. Oh my goodness. I gotta say, something about these flying guys, man, I'm not prepared to deal with them again, is all I'm trying to say. Dude, this track is killing it. I hope you guys can hear everything fine. I should have the game audio on today. Ooh, look at me. This is gonna be a long level, isn't it? I was hoping to play 2 levels today, to be honest. If this B-side is proportionally harder, then... if this B-side is proportionally harder than the last B-side we played, this very well may be a whole episode to itself. 2 hours for 1 level. Seems legit. I was almost there. Gotta stop saying Phonated silences. If you're not sure what a phonated silence is, it is when people are talking when they do... it's a... what is the equivalent? It's like a silence that's been phonated. Is that a good example? No? It's a horrible example. When you hear people going like, well, like... those are all phonated silences. You're not... I did it there. You're not saying anything important, you're not adding anything important to the speech, you're just... still not quite there. You're just making noise for the sake of making noise. And if you're not sure why that's a bad thing, it gives it like an unprofessional air, I guess. I guess is another one. And normally, when giving normal speeches, I tend to consider myself pretty good with not phonating my silences, but something about Twitch streaming just gets me. Point is, if you're ever giving a speech, high school speech class, college speech class, does not matter. Why do I keep jumping into that? Try to avoid any sounds that don't need to be there. I did it again. You're a lot better not making any noise than making, well, like, because how does this sound, for instance? 7 years ago, well, my father had a dream. What? I don't know the rest of that speech, honestly, I only know 4 sorry. Anyway, or, you know, the normal speech, 7 years ago. It's a perceived confidence, I guess. I did it again. Dude, you can totally jump over this, can't you? Oh, dude, I got the skips already. Moral of the story is, don't say, if you can ever avoid it. Oh, you can! Now I should have plenty of time, unless I do that. Oh, that was close. I will say, though, as far as confidence is concerned, I've been streaming for, what, a full 2 weeks now, going on to my 3rd week. I feel like I'm getting a lot more confident talking to camera. If you never streamed before, if you have confidence issues, dude, just jump on camera and just start talking to yourself. Maybe it'll help you out. Maybe it'll make things worse, I don't know. I tend to really enjoy public speaking. I took, 2 years of a speech class. I did a little bit of competitive speaking, but I didn't really get into it too much. Mainly because, I don't know, I prefer improv. Improv was always my jam. But my school didn't really have the biggest improv scene, so I was forced to do prepared speeches, and I don't really care for prepared speeches. There are a lot of people who I met that did killer, like, written speeches. Like, bring tears to your eye, good. And I never felt like I could really stand up to those people. I was always have, like, ridiculous comedy speeches, and they were doing, like, long dramas about horrible living conditions and human rights violations, and, you know, my comedy speeches didn't really have the same impact, so I didn't stay doing competitive. I gotta stop jumping into that, just wait a second longer. So I didn't do a whole lot of competitive, but I still really enjoyed the non-competitive side of the class, just doing silly things like improv and laughing with my classmates. If you've never taken a speech class, the odds are you probably have to. I know in my high school we had to, and I believe in my college. Do we have to in college? I don't actually know. I think I have to in college. Well, I think you would have to. I think I've already got all my speech credits covered. Yeah, you definitely had to do a speech. I think. I don't know. Point is, if you haven't taken a speech class, I would highly recommend it. A lot of, because I'm not exactly an outgoing sort of person. If you walk up to me in the store, I'm just gonna, like, close up and be awkward. But something, oh, do you think I can make that? No, let's not even risk that. That just seems like a waste. But something about talking in front of people, just getting people to laugh is always something that I've really enjoyed. So I would suggest, whoever you are, whatever you like to do, join your high school speech class, join your college speech class, whatever age you are. If you're not in college, just start talking to people anyway. Just go into public places and just start ranting about something. Just learn to talk. I don't know where this is going, but oh well. Since we have talked last, I have gotten around to finishing the White Knight comic by Sean Murray. That's right, I even figured out who the author was. Sean Murray. I don't know what else he's written, but I gotta say, White Knight easily going down as one of my favorite comic books that I've read in a while. And to be fair, I don't read a lot of comic books. I'm kind of getting back into reading comic books. Again, as previously mentioned, I recently read Frank Miller's Year One. Didn't care. Dude, this is gonna be another room situation, huh? I'm gonna be stuck in this for 30 minutes. I didn't... Oh, you gotta jump over that one. I didn't get into year 1, as previously mentioned. I just found it had an overall lack of plot, I guess. Nothing really going on, just like Batman's first year of being Batman and Jim Gordon's first year of being Commissioner, or being in Gotham City, I guess. But there was no real storyline that you could latch onto, no clear-cut antagonists for the most part. That's not saying that there weren't antagonist characters, and again, I'm trying not to spoil anything here. But to me, I just felt like there was no clear-cut story going on. More of like a reality TV show kind of thing, I guess. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, just episodic day-to-day life of Batman and Jim Gordon. Less movie, more animated TV show. How does that sound? I don't know, maybe that sounds horrible. Some people will get what I mean, and that's all that really matters. Stop jumping into that, man. So I didn't care for it. I've never read any other of Frank Miller's stuff, and Frank Miller, if you never heard of him, absolute legend in the comic book scene. Writes some of the most profound. Is it profound? I know what profound means. I don't know if it counts as... I don't know if his comic book work counts as profound. Some of the most famous comic books for DC. Stuff like The Dark Knight Returns, and also Swamp Thing. Did he do a Swamp Thing run? I'm pretty sure he made Swamp Thing cool. And he might have also done a Daredevil run for Marvel. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe he did a Daredevil run. I'm not sure if that one was as successful, but frankly, he might have not written it in the first place. The point I'm trying to make, Frank Miller, absolute comic book legend, didn't care for year 1. Sorry. Didn't think it added anything to the Batman mythos, really. But, oh well, different strokes. But yeah. White Knight. Yeah, let's go back to that. White Knight. White Knight, written by Sean Murray. Again, I apologize, I can't remember anything else he's written. That story was so good. Want to know my biggest problem with Sean Murray's White Knight? No spoilers here, don't worry about it. It's not written in Prime Universe continuity. It's not officially canon, per se. If you're not sure how comic books work, there is a bunch of universes that the DC multiverse takes place in. Some of them are the normal universes, where you have like Batman and Superman. Some of them, Batman is a pirate and Superman is a communist. Just a lot of... It's basically... The multiverse is basically an excuse for DC authors to write whatever they want without having to worry about how it affects the other stories, is a good way of explaining the DC multiverse. What this does... I jumped right into that one. What this does mean, however, is that a lot of really good stories are pretty pointless in the grand scheme of DC, because they're not canon, they're not in the main universe. The only time you'll see that story pop up again is if another story happens to take place in that same universe. And I think that is a huge shame for White Knight, because it is so good, and I personally think it would fit so well in the main DC universe. The reason I'm not saying which universe is the DC main universe is because I'm not sure which one it currently is. I know that sounds unusual, but DC tends to go through a lot of... Why do I keep jumping so quick into that one? DC tends to go through a lot of resets. Just completely rewriting their story. Oh, I'm super gonna die. Paused a little too long. They keep rewriting their universe to either allow new audience members to enjoy it or to correct some continuity issues from previous stories. But what this means is that I'm never sure exactly what's DC canon anymore. With that being said, I've started reading Flashpoint by Geoff Johns. Why is that a good segue? because Flashpoint is one of the biggest resets in DC. Dude, this room shouldn't be as hard as it is. Maybe I shouldn't be playing this level. Jesus. Flashpoint was, when it came out, was the big DC reset. They have a movie of it if you're not interested in reading the comic. But again, if you have Amazon Prime, you can read it for free on your Kindle or phone with the Kindle app. So I would highly suggest you do that. But it was, again, I'm not the biggest comic book reader, so I could be getting some of these details wrong. Feel free just to correct me and let me know. I'm interested. It was the big reset for DC. Okay, here we are. I'm gonna stop talking for a second. I'm gonna beat this part, and then I will continue talking. That is not a good start. No! Ah, okay. This room. It was the big reset because it started, I believe it started DC New 52, which was it was a reset of DC's 52 biggest superhero lines. So Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, sort of. But it was a super interesting one because it wasn't a normal, and this, from what I can tell, this kind of started a trend. It wasn't a normal reset. Like, they didn't just hit the delete button on all the previous work. It was more of, it was an in-universe explanation for why, oh, this is about as bad as it could be. It was more of an in-universe explanation for why they were resetting things. Quick summary without really any spoilers. Why did I slide off that? Quick summary without spoilers. Flash goes back in time to prevent his mom's murder, and in doing that, he completely resets the DC universe, and it becomes basically a nightmare universe. Aquaman and Wonder Woman are fighting for control of the Earth. Tons of people have died. Batman's pretty interesting. Instead of Bruce Wayne surviving his parents' murder, instead his father, Thomas Wayne, survives, meaning that he becomes Batman, and I believe his wife becomes the Joker, but don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not. I haven't read the comic. I've only watched the movie, and the movie doesn't really talk about it. But the point is, it's this horrible nightmare universe that Flash finds himself in, and he has to reverse it. And in doing so, once he does finally reverse it, and again, this may be a bit of a spoiler, but I think it's fine. Good guy wins, so what a surprise. Instead of Flash resetting the universe and it going back to the way it was, instead, the small changes that Flash caused, Butterfly affect themselves and create the New 52. Where things are mostly... Oh, that's not okay. Hey, we beat the room, though, and it only took something like 15 minutes. The small... Why did I do that? The small butterfly effects that Flash caused create the New 52, which is a brand new DC... I don't like this. I don't like this. Oh, I could have saved that. Causes the New 52. Which means that the reset of the universe was actually canonical. Ooh, we have somebody in the comments who's actually just my girlfriend, but don't say that. Who says, who's your favorite DC character? And I will say, without a doubt, okay, I have a bit of a doubt. To be honest, Batman, I've been reading a lot of Batman comics and he's growing on me. But my favorite comic book character for the longest time, my favorite DC character, has been Green Lantern. And why Green Lantern? Why such an underrepresented hero in a lot of media when there are such big names in DC like Batman, Superman? That is because Green Lantern, his comics don't work the same way that other people's comics work. If you don't know, Green Lantern, he is a human who... Oh, goodness. He is a human who ends up with an alien ring that gives him the ability to create light constructs out of his own will. And the interesting thing is that he acts as a policeman for Earth and surrounding planets. And the reason he doesn't work as a normal superhero is because the Green Lantern doesn't have... Oh, goodness. Okay. He doesn't have one-off fights. Like, for instance, if you read a Spider-Man comic, maybe this episode, Doc Ock tries to rob a bank or something. Maybe not Doc Ock is the best example for this. He tries to rob a bank, and then Spider-Man beats him up, and then it ends. Green Lantern, you can't do that, because the primary Green Lantern characters are other Lantern factions, basically. So instead of having these little one-off battles, you end up with wars, basically, between these different factions. So you don't have, like, Sinestro, his primary rival. You don't have Sinestro just popping in and robbing a bank. If Sinestro comes in... Oh, please. Oh, that's bad. You don't have Sinestro come in and rob a bank. If Sinestro comes in, which he has before, he destroys half of the planet and the moon. So it ends up being closer to a space... I consider it like a space opera, rather a comic, because every single event in Green Lantern is so big... Oh no, I panicked. Every event is so big that you don't have little scuffles. And that's why I love Green Lantern so much. She has gone on to say, does he lose willpower when he makes things, or does he have so much it doesn't matter? So the interesting way that the rings work is it's pretty much based on the creator... Please don't do it again. I did it again. It's based on the willpower that the Green Lantern himself has. So there's no real, like, limit per se to what the Green Lantern can make beyond his imagination. Which is why, actually, there are many Green Lanterns. There's a few thousand of them. But the primary Earth Green Lanterns, the human Green Lanterns, all vary pretty crazy as far as power level is concerned. I'm never getting out of this room. For instance, you have the main Green Lantern, who's Hal Jordan, who's supposed to have the biggest will of anybody alive. Personally, I don't like Hal Jordan. He was a fighter pilot turned superhero, so pretty much all of his constructs are weaponry from, like, aircraft and things like that. And it's not the most interesting, to be honest. But then if you look at Kyle Rayner, my favorite Green Lantern, he was an artist. So you'll see much more... Oh, goodness. You'll see much more interesting constructs coming from Kyle Rayner than you do from Hal Jordan. Why do I keep thinking I can make that jump? Whenever Kyle creates a construct, it's always something fun, it's always something imaginative, and you just don't get that from certain Green Lanterns.